You're sitting in seat 27A window side, somewhere over the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's 2:10 in the morning on June 1st, 2009. Air France Flight 447 from Rio de Janeiro to Paris. The cabin is dark and quiet. Most passengers are asleep under thin blankets. The engines hum steadily. Everything feels normal. Then the plane shudders hard, once, twice, like it hit a giant pothole in the sky. A loud chime cuts through the cabin. The seatbelt sign pings on. A few people stir. You grip. The armrests. The nose of the plane suddenly pitches upward, steeper than any normal climb. Your body is pressed back into the seat. The overhead lights flicker. Someone in the row behind you gasps. You don't know it yet, but this is the exact moment everything starts to go wrong. In the next 4 minutes and 23 seconds, this Airbus A330 carrying 228 people will climb uncontrollably, stall at 38,000 feet, and then fall straight down toward the black ocean below. But the most terrifying part, the part no one on board will ever forget, is the final 47 seconds. Those 47 seconds when the stall warning screams nonstop, the cockpit voice recorder captures pure panic, and every soul on this plane realizes the nose is still pointed up, while the plane is falling like a stone. This is the story of the last 47 seconds of Air France Flight 447, from the seat right next to yours. Just a few hours earlier, everything on Air France Flight 447 had felt perfectly routine. The flight had departed from Rio de Janeiro at 7:29 p.m. local time on May 31st, 2009. It was a long-haul night flight to Paris carrying 228 souls, 216 passengers, and 12 crew members. The Airbus A330-203 was one of the most modern and safest planes in the sky. The pilots were experienced. Captain Marc Dubois had over 11,000 flying hours, and the two co-pilots were both competent and well-trained. The first few hours passed without incident. Passengers watched movies, ate dinner, and slowly drifted off to sleep as the plane cruised smoothly at 35,000 feet. The weather ahead looked manageable, a line of thunderstorms typical for that region. Many flights crossed this area every day without problems, but there were subtle warning signs that almost no one noticed. The pitot tubes, the small sensors that measure airspeed, had begun to ice up as the aircraft entered a zone of high-altitude cumulonimbus clouds. Air France had been warned about this known issue months earlier, yet the replacement of the sensors had been delayed for cost reason. At 1:52 a.m., the plane entered the storm cell. Light turbulence began. Most passengers remained asleep, trusting the plane and the pilots completely. In the cockpit, the three pilots were relaxed. Captain Dubois had left for a short rest, leaving the two co-pilots in charge. The conversation was casual. No one was overly concerned. Then, at 2:10 a.m., the pitot tubes froze completely. The airspeed indicators went blank. The autopilot disconnected with a loud warning chime. The flight control system switched to alternate law. Back in the passenger cabin, you felt only a slightly stronger bump. You adjusted your seatbelt and closed your eyes again, assuming it was just normal turbulence. You had no way of knowing that the plane was already beginning its fatal climb, and that the clock was now ticking on the final minutes of everyone on board. At exactly 2:10:05 a.m., everything changed forever. The autopilot disconnected with a sharp chime. Almost immediately, the stall warning sounded. A loud synthetic voice repeating, "Stall, stall, stall." The two co-pilots were caught off guard. Without reliable airspeed data, they had no idea how fast or how slow the plane was flying. In a moment of confusion, one of the co-pilots pulled back on the side stick. The nose pitched upward sharply. The plane began climbing at a steep angle while already losing speed. You felt it clearly in your seat. The plane tilted upward more and more. Your body was pressed firmly back. The floor seemed to drop away beneath you. Overhead compartments creaked. A few passengers woke up startled. Someone muttered, "What's happening?" The plane kept climbing. It reached 38,000 feet, then continued higher, all the way to 38,500 feet. The thin air at that height made everything worse. The wings could no longer generate enough lift. You felt the plane shudder. violently, a deep, frightening buffet that rattled the entire fuselage. The lights flickered. A drink cart rolled forward. A child started crying loudly. The woman next to you grabbed your arm. "Are we crashing?" she whispered, her voice trembling. You didn't know how to answer. The plane was no longer flying forward efficiently. It was falling upward in a deep stall. The nose was pointed toward the stars, but the aircraft was already beginning its long, deadly descent. At 2:13:40, a Fiat M, the nightmare truly began. The wings suddenly stopped generating lift. The Airbus entered a deep aerodynamic stall. Even though the plane was now falling from the sky at terrifying speed, the nose remained pointed upward toward the stars. You were literally falling backward through the night sky. The sensation was beyond horrifying. Your body was pressed hard against the seatbelt as the plane dropped at over 10,000 feet per minute. The floor felt like it had disappeared, loose. Objects floated for a split second before smashing around the cabin. The overhead lights flickered wildly. The emergency oxygen masks dropped with a loud hiss, swinging like ghosts. You felt the violent buffeting, the entire plane shaking and shuddering as if it was being torn apart. The engines screamed at full power, but it made no difference. The stall warning kept blaring relentlessly. "Stall! Stall! Stall!" The woman next to you was crying and gripping your arm so hard her nails dug into your skin. "We're going to die! We're falling!" she screamed. You looked out the window into absolute blackness. No lights, no horizon, just the dark ocean rushing up to meet you at over 200 miles per hour. Your mind raced through 1,000 thoughts in those few eternal seconds. Your family, the trip in Rio, the fact that you would never see Paris. Some passengers were praying out loud. Others held hands with complete strangers. A few sat completely frozen, unable to move. The plane was falling nose up, tail first, a position that made no sense to the human brain. It felt like the laws of physics had broken. In the cockpit, the last desperate words were recorded. "We're going to crash. This can't be happening." For you and everyone else in the cabin, those final 47 seconds were a hellish mix of confusion, helplessness, and pure terror, while the plane that was supposed to protect you betrayed everyone on board. At 2:14:28 a.m., Flight 447 hit the Atlantic Ocean with catastrophic force. The plane disintegrated on impact. All 228 people on board died. The investigation revealed a devastating truth. This crash was not just bad luck. It was the result of human negligence and systemic failure. The pitot tubes had known icing problems for years. Air France had been warned multiple times, yet the replacement was delayed for cost reasons. When the sensors froze, the pilots were left with confusing information and inadequate training for that exact scenario. Instead of pushing the nose down to recover from the stall, they kept pulling back, a fatal mistake. The highly automated Airbus had made the pilots too reliant on computers. When the automation failed, their training and instincts were not enough. Once again, warnings were ignored. Cost-cutting and overconfidence in technology took priority over safety. Powerful companies later tried to shift all the blame onto pilot error, protecting themselves from real accountability. Just like in Johnstown, when everything went wrong, the system protected the powerful and left the victims without justice. Today, in 2026, we still fly planes that are more automated than ever. The same risks of over-reliance on technology remain. The same pressure to cut costs and delay maintenance still exists. The ocean doesn't care how modern your plane is. In those final 47 seconds, as the plane fell from the sky with its nose still pointed upward, what would you have done if you were sitting in seat 27A? Would you have held the hand of the stranger next to you? Would you have prayed? Or would you have simply stared into the darkness, knowing it was already too late? Comment below and be honest. What part of these final 47 seconds terrified you the most? Do you believe this crash could have been prevented? Type next if you want another powerful final second story in the next 7 days. If this story hit you hard, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. This channel exists to face the moments when time runs out, so we can learn before it's too late. Thank you for watching. Fly safe.